right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show, your one-stop shop for all things Commanders. If you're watching this, the chat is always open, so feel free to hop in. We love for the feedback. Also, if you're on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss an episode like today's episode with Cakes from the Junkies. Cakes, what's up, brother?
What's up, boys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Oh man, always love having you on. Usually Joe House is with us here on a Cakes episode. He's on vacation, but he said to tell you hello, Cakes, and he's jealous that he's not here.
Wrong house. Is he off at some like fancy ass vacation while we're here doing the grind?
I'm sure that he's in somewhere fabulous and fantastic while the rest of us are here in America wishing we were not, except for George. He just got back from like the Turks and Caicos or something like that.
Very nice.
That's right. He's not hating. We are. Cakes, the many things we'll get to today, obviously. I want to start out. I know you guys have the Cakes Classic coming up at the MGM Harbor this Wednesday coming up. It is, I'd like you to explain it a little bit because I know you buddy Brian Mitchell will be there, and there will be points for knocking your money, I think, for knocking you guys out. First, tell us how you ended up hooking up with MGM at National Harbor, because you've been a partner of theirs for a while now, and then a little bit about what you guys got coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, like I do poker ambassador work for MGM National Harbor. I've been doing that basically since the room opened, like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe more than that at this point. Have a really good relationship with them. I host a monthly poker tournament, the Cakes Classic. I've talked about it on the air with you guys before. It's a fun monthly no limit hold'em tournament. Sometimes we have special guests come out. This month's guest is a very special one in Brian Mitchell. Everybody knows B Mitch, loves him. He should be in the Hall of Fame already. I'll stump for him for that. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. And we have some good prizes lined up for the August 6th edition of the Cakes Classic. If you knock out B Mitch, you're going to get two prizes. You're going to get a $600 seat into event number 2 of the Potomac Poker Open Summer Tournament Series that starts in mid-August. So it's the second event. I believe it's called the Opener. So you'll win a $600 seat, and you'll also win an autographed mini Commander's helmet from B Mitch. You'll get it right there on the spot.
Awesome.
So if you knock me out, you also get a $600 seat to that same event, and then you'll get 2 tickets to a Commanders 2025 home game to be determined at this point. We're not sure which. So some cool prizes. You get to meet B Mitch, try to knock him or me out, have a good time. And if you knock anybody else out, you pocket $50. You knock us out, you get those prizes that I talked about. So thanks to B Mitch for coming out. If you're a Commanders fan or old school Redskins fan and want to hang out and play poker with me and B Mitch, this is your opportunity on Wednesday night.
What did you have on B Mitch to get him to do this?
B Mitch is a good dude, man. I appreciate him doing it because, he's a busy guy. He's a local legend. He gets asked to do a lot of different events and charity events and appearances. And he was just kind enough to appear after I asked him. And I'm happy he's doing it. I'm grabbing him before the actual NFL season starts because we're close.
Smart.
I knew that my window was kind of short because, once the season hits, we're all busier. B Mitch, Junkies, you guys are all busier once the NFL season starts. So happy to get it done. I think I'm sneaking it in right before, obviously, the practices and the first preseason game with the Patriots, because I know B Mitch is covering that for local TV. So he's been kind enough to take some time out of his sched. Should be a good time. So hopefully people can come out and support the event and try to knock us out, try to win those prizes, try to get that B Mitch autograph helmet. Should be a fun night.
Now, Cakes, we also got to live vicariously through you at the World Series of Poker this year. I know that was the first time for you. It felt like it was your first time in Vegas. I find that hard to believe, but it looked like you were having a blast out there. Tell us how, because it was like a group crowdsource almost, wasn't it? I mean, tell us how you got there, because it was awesome.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys and everybody else from back here that was doing the virtual sweat and on my virtual rail via Twitter and Instagram. the support from back home was awesome. That was not my first trip to Vegas, not my first rodeo out there, but it's the first time I've been out there in probably 5-6 years, and the first time I played in the World Series of Poker main event, because I've followed the main event from afar. Any poker player that even takes poker semi seriously wants to go play in the main event at some point. But I'll be honest, man, 10K out of my pocket, like it's just a tough ask, at this point. I mean, my kids are all grown, but I'm still, paying some tuitions here and there. And, like it's tough.
10 stacks is heavy, Cakes, for anybody.
Very heavy for anybody. Yeah, it's crazy.
So somebody who I met through MGM National Harbor through some of the summer and winter tournament series there from an organization called GulfCoastPoker.net. They're situated they're based out of New Orleans down south. And the guy who runs it just reached out to me like 8 or 9 months ago. And he's like, hey man, would you be interested in playing the World Series of Poker? Like, we'll stake you, meaning they'll pay my whole buy-in, but then I have to obviously split the prize money back to them. I get a chunk of it. They get the bigger chunk of it, which makes sense. Look, they're giving me a chance to go play it exposure free outside of flights and hotel and food and all that stuff that I take care of. So yeah, it was a blast. I mean, I would go play it again in a heartbeat. I was, lucky enough, fortunate enough to be able to cash on my first go round.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I was thrilled. It was, for any poker player that is on the fence about playing in that event, I can now personally vouch for it's worth it. You have to try it. And look, if it takes, somebody giving you 67% of the money, in my case, I was lucky. I had 100% buy-in. So if you need 5 people to help you get out there and help sponsor you, do whatever you have to do, man. It's a great event for any poker player, and it's a blast. I would do it again, every year. I loved it. I had a great time doing it.
It was the biggest field in like 20 years, right? Since like the real big poker boom 15 years ago. The field was huge.
I believe, right? I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, but I think it was the 3rd largest.
I thought it was like 9,000 Cakes from what I saw on your list. Like 9,000.
Might have even gone over 10.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a crazy turnout. It shows that live poker is still alive and well. People try to write off poker, but I mean, if you're out there during the World Series of Poker, which basically lasted like a month and a half, maybe even longer, poker's thriving. So it was a blast. I had an amazing time, and again, I can't stress enough how cool it was to see people just cheering me on from afar. The support from my family, from people that support the Junkie Show. It was awesome. It was awesome to see that, and I could definitely feel that from however far Vegas is away, 2,500 miles. I think I'm close on that, but it was cool to have all those people in my corner rooting for me.
Yeah, we were definitely rooting for you out here, man. And Cakes, where does love for poker come from, man? Were you playing like in college with your buddies or something like that? How'd you get into this? And I think it's so competitive. Just how'd you get into this?
Yeah, I didn't really dabble in college too much. I was too busy getting bad grades and drinking too much beer up at Towson.
Sounds about right.
Back then it was Towson State. I mean, I'm so old. It used to be Towson State University. Now they're like, we got to get state out of the name. Now it's just Towson University. But more like post-college, like probably in my mid to late 20s, started getting into poker and have loved it ever since. And I play, look, I'm obviously not a professional poker player. I'm a recreational player. I play when I have time outside of my day job, obviously. So, but it's a fun pursuit. It's competitive. As we get older, you can't just go out and play backyard hoops as much as you used to.
Exactly right.
You're just worried about tearing your Achilles or blowing your knee out, or So it's a good pursuit as you get up there in years a little bit. I still love it. There's always something new to learn when it comes to poker. Always ways to get better and improve. So it's fun. It's a challenge, and it's something I enjoy.
So quick follow-up to that. I'm a novice player. I barely play poker. I'm intimidated to play poker because of sharks like you out there. What would you do for what are some advice for a novice player to kind of get into poker? Some of the fundamentals to kind of pick up on.
I think probably the first thing I would say is just honestly go on YouTube and research it a little bit. Research if you're having issues with certain parts of the game, just watch training videos. That's a really good way to learn the fundamentals, try to get better. And, once you feel comfortable, just go to MGM National Harbor and play in a low stakes game or a low stakes tournament, like depending on whether you're focusing on playing cash game or tournament poker. Just dip your feet in there, man. It's like if you're playing at home with your buddies, like you might be intimidated the first few orbits, but after you've played a few hands, you're going to be like, okay, this is like me playing in the home game. Like when I went to play the World Series of Poker, at first I was like, man, do I belong here? Like I'm looking around, I'm seeing like legendary poker players, professionals who've, made millions and millions, and it's their career, but after I played a few hands and was there for a few hours, I was like, I may not win this thing, but I can hang in this field and hopefully I can cash. And if I can get to the cash, you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, I would watch some training videos on YouTube, get out and play a little bit, and don't be scared, man. Get in there and mix it up, and you'll be just fine.
Poker's one of those, not unlike most things, you got to play, right? I mean, you've got to get through a lot of hands of poker to be able to figure out how to play poker. I remember being so in love with the game when it was really popular, like when Poker Stars was online before they kicked all the gambling offline for a decade or whatever. It was so easy to get into a game and just play, because you have to just play a million hands to figure out what the better hands are. How did you get put out? What was the hand?
Oh, at the World Series of Poker Maine.
Yeah.
So we got down to where the bubble burst, meaning at that point everybody gets paid after that. So once the bubble bursts, once you get like within like 5 or 7 people left, and you're playing what's called hand for hand, where they have to go from table to table, make sure that all the hands are done, and then they restart, because you need to eliminate people down to get to that last person. Once that person's eliminated and then everybody's in the money, then you can actually start playing poker again, because a lot of people are just they're playing so tight and tightening up and not wanting to play poker because they want to make the money. And I was one of those people. I was like, now I didn't have my chip stack so low at that point where I was worried. Like I knew as long as I didn't play any hands during the hand for hand portion that I was good, because my chip stack was big enough where I knew I was going to survive into the money. But then once we got in the money, I was able to play a little bit. I got to double up, and I was like, okay, maybe I can make some noise here. Then my chip stack dwindled a little bit, and I had about 12 or 13 big blinds left, meaning at that point you got to make a move. Like you got to double up, or your chip stack is just going to get ground away down to nothing. So I had ace king, guy raised before me. I jammed in with ace king, got all my chips in. He instantly called. He had pocket kings. I can't find an ace on the flop. His kings hold up. It's just it's a standard type of bust out hand. Ace king versus kings. It's not great when you're holding the ace king. You feel pretty good. That guy felt pretty good when he saw me flip over ace king. Like he was in a good spot. But I had no regrets. I would never play that hand any differently. Like if I had 50 big blinds at that point, I'm playing that hand differently. I had 12 big blinds. I didn't have a lot of chips left. So I had to try to make something happen there. And I just didn't get lucky. And that's poker. That's the way it works out sometimes. You get it in with a decent hand, the other guy has a monster, and then you hit the payout window.
I'd love to know how many people get knocked out on ace king, because it looks so beautiful there in your hand when you flip those 2 cards up, and it's just, the math is weird. Did you say you paid $20 for a taco at Taco Bell?
You know what? It's funny, man. Like now the food in Vegas is expensive, man. I forgot, like it got ramped up even since the last time I was out. I was out there with my wife, like I want to say like 2018, 2017, maybe. Like just food and beer, alcohol, like everything just got so expensive in Vegas. Like my Taco Bell trip was one of my cheaper exploits, because I was tired of paying like $30 for like a chicken Caesar salad. I was like, come on, I need to get like some fast food or something cheap here, something like 10 or 12 bucks. I mean, so I walked into the Taco Bell that was outside of Planet Hollywood, which is right next to where I was staying at the Paris. And It was a Taco Bell cantina. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with. It was actually really nice, man. It was clean. The food was, I mean, it's Taco Bell food. It's not, look, you're not getting the highest quality food. I understand. But food was fresh for Taco Bell standards. They had like slushy drinks, like alcoholic slushy drinks for sale. They had like good music playing. I was like, this is not like a standard Taco Bell that I'm visiting like in Aspen Hill, like this is different, like, but that was one of my, like, I needed to rein in my spending in Vegas because it was getting a little bit out of control. So yeah, that was one of my cheaper meals while I was in Vegas. But look, if you're going to Vegas, you're going to pay
absolutely
those crazy prices at times. But I was out there for 7 days, man. I had to cut corners here and there. 7 days is a long time to be in Vegas.
100%.
That's about 4 days too long.
Absolutely.
If you went back out, would you do the main event again, or would you try like the bracelet satellites?
I mean, if I got bought in again, I would do that, of course, in a heartbeat. Sure, I would love to try to satellite in for a cheaper price, or just play some of the smaller buy-in events. Yeah, I loved it. I loved the whole experience. I would definitely like to dabble again at some point in the future.
All right, we are in training camp. For those that are not concerned about the poker, we will switch over to the Commanders.
All good.
I love both. I don't think that before the off season started, whenever you consider that we'd be sitting here a month before the season started with Terry McLaurin demanding a trade. Here we are. It's like, this is the price of doing business, I suppose, the quote unquote right way, right? Like, I think we can all agree if Snyder was still owning the team, Jerry gotten paid number one receiver money, top of the market a month ago, and everybody would have been happy, but we'd have been doing the same thing that we've always done. I saw a video today with Josh Harris out there with Peters at camp, and I'm sure he's antsy to pay Terry. But you've hired a man and you have to trust him to do the job. Cakes, as we sit here like a month before the season starts, what is your anxiety level?
I mean, it's starting to ramp up, but the trade request was formalized yesterday by Terry and his camp. The thing that makes me hit the brakes a little bit on the panic meter is this seems to be kind of like standard operating procedure for guys who are holding in or holding out. I mean, we saw the same thing with Myles Garrett in Cleveland. We saw the same thing with Brandon Ayuk in San Francisco, where Peters was before he got here. We've seen this on numerous occasions. This is one of the last cards that Terry McLaurin and his camp has to play. So I don't blame them for requesting a trade to try to get the ball rolling, to try to get more conversations started, to try to get him to the number that he and his agent want, and to get him into camp. I'm personally stunned that we've gotten to this point. I thought that Terry would be signed prior to training camp and that it wouldn't be an issue. Problem is his age is what's hampering him. Like if Terry McLaurin were 25 years old, this would have been rectified already.
Absolutely.
But he's not 25. He's 30. He's going to turn 30 in, I think, second week of the season. So that's something. Look, Adam Peters and his staff, they lean into analytics. They've seen the numbers of what tends to happen to receivers on the wrong side of 30. So they're reluctant to give Terry a long-term deal, and a deal at the numbers that it seems like he and his agent are seeking out. Like, in my opinion, if they're seeking out significantly more than what DK Metcalf is making, I feel like they're going to have to recalibrate what they're asking for, because I just don't think, like, I mean, does anybody think that Terry McLaurin is going to get paid $35 or $36 million AAV?
Maybe
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
So. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that the closer we get to the season, like, they're just going to have to realize, like, maybe we angle for higher guarantees and lower annual average value. I don't know how it gets worked out. I still feel like it gets worked out, but I worry about like a slow start to the season. Terry started slow last year too. Like, and part of that is because you got a rookie quarterback feeling his way, Jaden Daniels, over the first few weeks. I understand that. Hopefully that wouldn't happen in year 2. But if Terry misses basically all of camp, I wouldn't be shocked if he had a relatively slow start to the season. If he came out of the gates a little sluggish, that would only be natural. So I'd love to see this done in the next few weeks. I think it happens before week 1 against the Giants. But I also thought that he was going to be signed before training camp. So this is as the Terry turns. It's been the summer of Terry 2025, man. It's been pretty wild.
George, is his agent out of his league right now? Like, I mean, this is his big client. The client list is not huge. I think the only other guy who's got this relatively close was Doug Baldwin. And then Doug Baldwin started doing his own contracts after that, if you remember. Has he overplayed how valuable Terry is in reality?
I think he has. I think right now, walking into this is Terry McLaurin's outlier season, right? Terry McLaurin has been a steady wide receiver for 5-6 years now, 1,000-yard receiver, 4 to 5 touchdowns per year. He scored 13 touchdowns this year, and this is where Terry strikes while the iron's hot, right? Jaden Daniels had a great season. Everything was looking great. 12-5 year. This is where Terry can shine. So I can see where his agent is going. But if you look at the true comps, like Mike Evans is, in theory, what Terry McLaurin is, right? A consistent 1,000-yard guy every single year. He has more touchdowns every single year than Terry McLaurin does as well. And Mike Evans landed at 2 years, $41 million. That was his contract, right? So it's like, that's about $20 million. The Cortland Sutton deal coming in as well, landing about 23. That's another comp right there to kind of range find where Terry McLaurin sits there. And Stephon Diggs is another comp as well. I think Terry, realistically, for his age, market value is probably around like 24, 25 million. I think he's going for DK Metcalf because of the same draft class there. But I think that's just asking for too much, right? I think the Steelers were kind of they traded for DK Metcalf, right?
That's
so they kind of had to pay extra for that because if you're not going to trade for a second-round pick and then let him walk after 1 year, they had to overpay him. And I think Terry McLaurin is leveraging that for the trade offer there. So I can see where both sides are coming from. I think the best resolution would probably be somewhere in the middle, like, hey, throw him 27, 28 million. I mean, for me, give him 30 million. If he wants a 3 in front of that contract, what's the big deal for 20 to 30 million, in my opinion, right? The salary cap goes up every single year. Pay the good soldier that you have on your team, get him on there, and the fans will be happy. So that's where I'm going for there. But that's where I stand. I kind of want to throw it to both of you guys, and I'll start off with you, Cakes. Does this whole negotiation affect Terry's legacy in your opinion, right? Because he couldn't do any wrong in DC. People loved him. He came to camp every single time. He was respectful. Good soldier, bad quarterback, was always there, always forward facing with the media. Is there a chink in the armor to his legacy now, or do you still this is just negotiating in the NFL?
I think it's just standard negotiating and trying to get a big deal. It's his last big bite at the apple. Like, he's going to be 30 years old. This is his last chance for a mega payday. And he's doing whatever he can to try to secure it. I think it only affects his legacy, in my opinion, if he starts holding out and missing games.
Yeah.
If he is so resolute where he's just like, the only thing I can do to really drive my point home is miss week 1, sit out weeks 2, 3, 4. That's when I think the fans would start turning on Terry. But Terry McLaurin like you mentioned, he's been the good soldier. He's been the guy who's been through all the different regimes and the different head coaches and the poor ownership. Like, if anybody deserves to get paid for past services rendered, it's Terry. And look, I know that Adam Peters doesn't really operate that way, and good GMs don't operate in, hey, we're just gonna reward you for what you've done in the past. Like, go ask the Nationals how they felt rewarding Steven Strasburg with that contract.
Yeah.
Okay, they're still paying him on that contract. So that's what good GMs like. They toe the financial line, and they try to make sure that there's enough room for all the other guys who are going to be in line in 2026. And we talked about that on the Junk Show earlier this week. I mean, there are a lot of big names that are going to be asking for deals in 2026. Debo, if he has a good year, Laramie Tunsil, Lattimore, Frankie Louvu. There are a few others that I can't remember off the top of my head. So
I think Payne and Brian Robinson, a couple of people like that. Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah.
So I mean, Peters can't. I know that right now he's working on getting Terry in, but he's got to also look out into 2026, 2027 and beyond and realize, well, if I overpay Terry, then Tunsil's going to expect an overpay. Lattimore is going to expect an overpay.
That's right.
So this is like, he has to kind of get the message out there that we're going to be fair with you and we're going to give you what we feel like you're worth. But they've made it clear they don't think Terry McLaurin is worth $30+ million per season.
CD Lamb money, exactly, something like that.
They don't feel like they don't feel like he's top 3 or 4 paid wide out in the league type material. And he, I tend to agree. He's a very good wide receiver, and he's super valuable here because of the connection with Jaden Daniels, and like what they did last year was like magical. It was awesome. Hopefully they can keep doing it over the next few years. But I don't think they value him. It's clear they don't value him like he's Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or even Tyreek Hill.
Well, and George, I reached out to our buddy Benjamin Albright, who is usually on top of this stuff league wide, and I said, "What are you hearing? What do you got going on with Terry?" And he said, "Everything I've heard is it's more about the guaranteed money." And that's why I would love to know what the numbers actually are and what's going on right now, because it feels like if you just guaranteed this year at 25 or whatever the contract is for this year, is it 25 this year, George?
A little less, I think maybe 23, maybe something like that.
So
yeah.
give him
23, yeah.
Okay. Give him some extra money, get it up to 27 this year, guarantee the whole thing, do something similar for next year. Now you're, if at 30 a year, you're almost up to the 60 million guaranteed. That right, and that's, to me and most people, is more important. What was the actual guarantee number? If Terry's saying, listen, I don't need the 120 or whatever, I just want to make sure that I'm getting the 60 or make it 65, so he's a little bit over DK, gets the guaranteed money, and then add an extra year on, which is how they end up stretching the salary cap over. And I think it can get done. And his age is interesting because everybody, including the Kimes of the world, says this is a weird and different negotiation because of the age. But to me, like the names you mentioned, Cakes, gets you through 3 years. And 3 years gets you to when Jaden will be available for his first contract extension. So, like, to me, the 3 years for these guys, including Terry, who, yes, I understand, ends up being 32 or 33 at the time, that 3 years ought to align perfectly for what they're trying to do, because all the other contracts, the big contracts there, can also be up by the time they do that. And hopefully they will have been drafting well enough at that point so that you can make decisions on Deebo Samuels and Laramie Tunsil and Marshawn Lattimore. So that's why the age thing was never a problem to me personally.
I think the issue with Terry McLaurin is that he's signed through next year, Doug. So by the time his extension actually hits, it's age 31, 32, and 33. And there's a history of bad contracts as wide receivers getting older. Like Julio Jones, Hall of Famer, in my opinion. He had a great, run with the Falcons. He had a huge deal signed at age 31, I believe. It ended up being like an albatross on the Falcons contract, and they traded him to the Titans, right? Devontae Adams is another example there. There's a bunch of wide receivers, even Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was 30 years old, he had a better legacy, 1,700-yard seasons with the Dolphins, was crushing it in the NFL. And then last year even regressed to the point where they're trying to trade him this offseason. So it's intriguing. Like, it's a moral dilemma. It's a financial dilemma. It's okay, this guy's been a great person for you. Soldier, never complained, done the right thing. Do you reward someone like that? And typically, all of us want to do the right thing and pay people that are like that. But then financially and analytically, as Cakes mentioned, there's data that just proves that it's not a good decision. So it's hard. And that's kind of like where we are right now. And I guess that's my question to both of you. And I'll start off with Cakes again. Like, this is the first big decision for Adam Peters, right? So, like, is the honeymoon over for him? If, let's say it doesn't work out with Terry McLaurin and we end up trading him, like, is that justified? Do you think they should be vilified in the fan base? Like, how fickle our fan base can be. Like, I'm just kind of curious where that's going to go.
What, real quick before you answer that, Cakes, I'm just curious. What are the callers saying? Is it an even split, or people are pissed that Adam Peters won't just give up the money? How do the callers feel?
It seems more pro Terry. Because Terry's been here longer. He's a player. He's not a front office suit. So of course, like people are going to relate more to Terry than they are to the team. And when people side with the team over the player, I always tell them, like, unless you're like a billionaire, if you're like an owner of something, like you should almost always side with the player.
Yeah.
So, like, you should be on the player's side, because these players, they're putting their health and their lives on the line every time they go out and play a game and go to practice. I mean, it's a super dangerous sport. We know that the average, career span of an NFL player is like 2.5 years. You want these guys to make as much as they can in this small compressed window that they can make. So I can understand why Terry and his agent are agitating to try to make as much money as possible. Like, because you never know when this is going to end. So you need to make as much money while you're healthy enough to make as much money as humanly possible in the NFL. And I think that's a little bit of a disconnect for some of the callers. Like, some of them are that they'll take this angle that, well, he's already made this amount of money and he's getting offered 25 or 26 million. Like, what they're not looking into is, what they're not drilling down on is, his NFL career is going to be over by the time he's mid-30s. Like people who are calling in, they're going to work until their 60s or 70s, like making whatever money they're making. Like, and they're not really absorbing the fact that Terry McLaurin's, his prime earning years are right now between
small window
30 and probably 33. This is it. Okay. Now Terry McLaurin is a super smart guy, obviously a driven guy. He's going to do great at whatever he chooses to do once he hangs up the cleats, whether it's broadcasting, whether he wants to go into a front office, whether he wants to be an actor. Like, you can just tell that dude is going to be successful at whatever he does.
He's talented. Yeah.
But a lot of people they see the dollar signs that these guys make, and none of us can relate, because none of us are, I can't. I'm not getting into your guys' pockets. I haven't seen your W-2s.
It's not Terry McLaurin.
You're not making 20 million. I'm going to go out on a limb and say nobody on this podcast right now is making 20 million.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to get into the mindset of a Terry McLaurin or a Tyreek Hill or a Justin Jefferson, where those guys are pulling in 30 million and 35 million. And, Terry's seemingly underpaid at 23 million. Like, we can't relate to the circles that those guys travel in and the paychecks that they're pulling in.
George, what do you think Terry sees when he goes out there and, like, so say Adam Peters goes to his agent and says, you know what, go find one. So go see what a trade looks like and come back to me. What do you think the rest of the league values Terry at?
That's what I think this whole trade proposition is even about, Doug. I think now they're opening the doors and they're like, hey, let's put our name out in the market. Let's see if we can even gather money or gather some resources coming back to the Commanders. And I don't think there is going to be that big of a market out there. John Kahn kind of hinted at it. There's a great article by Bill Barnwell, if you guys go ahead and read it on ESPN right now. It is talked about that teams that have the salary cap money to afford Terry don't even have the draft capital to pay for him as well. Or they might even have a wide receiver one already on their team. So financially doesn't make any sense to actually pursue them. I think the big teams that could potentially trade for Terry McLaurin are the Indianapolis Colts, the Carolina Panthers. I think the Buffalo Bills were another one that could feasibly fit him under the cap. And Warren Sharp had a great video the other day. Terry's in a great situation. Is that better to go to the Indianapolis Colts? Or do you want to get paid more money and have Anthony Richardson, or is it Joe Flacco? Who's the quarterback for the Colts right now?
Daniel Jones is competing with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, exactly right.
He doesn't want to be part of that.
He doesn't want to be part of that.
Yeah, he wants to play with Jaden Daniels. And the trade, if there were a trade, there's a reason that the Commanders have made it known that they have no interest in trading Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
One, because he's under contract.
Yeah.
And two, because they know that they need Terry McLaurin to get where they want to go in 2025. Exactly right. Yeah. I love Jaden Daniels. I know he elevates the talent that is around him, but you can't tell me that they're going to win nearly as many games. I don't think they will in 2025 with no Terry McLaurin on the field. And you're throwing to, I like Debo, but I got questions about his durability. I know he's looked good in camp. I know he's been turning heads, but you're talking about a wideout core of Debo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey in year 2, Michael Gallup, a complete reclamation project. We don't know if he has anything left in the tank.
Yeah.
You draft Jalen Lane, Noah Brown. I mean, I'm sorry. That's like without Terry McLaurin, even with Debo added, that's like a bottom 6 or 7 wide receiver unit in the league. So even if they did get a deal like that they liked from another team, that doesn't help them in 2025.
Exactly right.
Like, even if a team's willing to give up a second rounder, which I don't think they would at this point for a near 30-year-old wideout, that doesn't help them this upcoming season.
Exactly.
The season is starting in 5 weeks.
Exactly right.
Trading Terry McLaurin right now makes absolutely no sense unless some team is dumb enough to give you like a first rounder
or
like a third rounder, which I don't think there's.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one team in the league that would do that deal.
No, I
so
agree.
like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point.
Yeah, because you nailed it. Because I think, as you mentioned before, if we let go of Terry McLaurin, the plan was he was going to be wide receiver 1 walking into the season. Letting him go leaves a big void in our wide receiver room. Everybody is stretched up one position, right? Like Debo's a good number 2, right? Noah Brown's a good number 3, and so on and so forth. Having them all go up puts us at a deficit at wide receiver. So I don't like that at all. And then, as you kind of alluded to, the benefit of having a rookie quarterback on this rookie contract is to open up that window, right? We're essentially punting this year by getting rid of Terry McLaurin and we're hampering our Super Bowl aspirations by trading him away. The only way I could see it being beneficial to trade him is if we get a wide receiver or big player back. That's still going to hurt us altogether. So I don't see him on another team, in my opinion.
I
don't
see
unless
that
they had a
happen.
receiver coming back the other way. And again, why would another team give you a receiver to get a receiver? Again, makes no sense.
Yeah,
and why make all the moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what other than Adam Peters just not seeing this Terry thing coming at all, which I would hope he'd at least been a little prepared for the notion that a guy that's only got 1 year left on his deal might be looking for something more and some guarantees, because I don't think there's any guarantees on this last year. It's just here's the money.
Right.
I can see where he's coming from, but you don't go out there and spend on Debo. I know it's only a 5th round pick. You spent a lot of assets to bring in Tunsil. You spent assets last year for Lattimore, which we know now had nothing to do about last year. They were just prepping for this year, which I love. But again, you don't do all that work and then say, oh, by the way, Jaden, get used to Noah Brown being wide receiver 1 because Terry's out. Like that. You're hustling backwards. It makes 0 sense. Even if they just have to play this year, I would hope that's not what it is, because then next year is the tag year. And what you don't want to do, there's 2 things you don't want to do. One, they've already missed. By not signing them, and said this on the podcast a bunch, you've left the window open for knuckleheads like us to like dissect what Terry is or what Terry's not and how good Terry is. And I hate that that's what we're doing now, rather than rewarding a guy for being fantastic coming off the best, year of his career. And it also, what does it do to the locker room? It's like you do everything right. You expect the money, and then the money doesn't come. This is
a silver lining.
Business in the NFL. We're not used to it as fans.
I have a silver lining. As badly as this McLaurin and Peters thing has gotten to at this point on August 1st, at least Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys have now they've basically re-raised Adam Peters and Terry McLaurin with the Micah Parsons debacle. Like,
at least Terry hasn't written a letter yet.
Commanders fans should pray that, first of all, that Jerry Jones lives to be 110 years old.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Live forever and never cede power in Dallas. Never hand over the power to anybody. Don't hand it over to anybody outside of the Jones family. Commanders fans want Jerry Jones running that franchise into the ground in perpetuity, because for him to completely botch the Micah Parsons scenario the way he has, and for those people that haven't heard yet, in a nutshell, Jerry Jones, I guess, sat down with Micah Parsons a couple of weeks or months ago, they had like a very informal like contract. They were hashing things out, like throwing ideas around and spitballing. And I guess Jerry Jones felt like that they had a deal in place, like there was nothing signed, but he felt like, all right, he's like, all right, we had the parameters of a deal, but like, and now it's to the point where he won't even let the
His
team
agent.
negotiate with his agent to get a
Yeah.
deal, a real deal done. So as bad as things are here in Washington, and they're not going great with, you know, the second most important offensive player on the team, you know, holding in, at least we have that cherry on top that somehow Jerry Jones did even worse down in Dallas.
George, he
And
wrote a 5-page letter today, Micah Parsons did,
Yeah, that was crazy too. I mean,
about how he would grew up a fan and would never come back. How you fumble this bag from the Cowboys? He's like one of the greatest players of the last decade. All he's done is beat every record that there was. He's up for his first extension. It's not like this is like down the road. It's his first. He's 26 years old.
wow. Yeah,
Just for those who don't know, his agent is David Mogoleta. I'm sure I botched the way that that's pronounced.
I think you're all over it.
He's one of the biggest agents that there is. And this clown Jerry Jones was like, I don't even know what his agent's name is. Like, brother, you know who the agent's name is. Don't do that.
Jerry's definitely lost a step for sure, because a couple of years ago he was up for being charming and charismatic and can win the room, and he's definitely losing that aura from him. And that letter, as you assumed, Doug, as you kind of talked about, that letter was pretty vivid, man. Like, you know, Terry McLaurin's like, I asked for a trade.
He's not good.
He penciled a 5-page letter about how he doesn't want to be on the team anymore. So as Cakes alluded to, it definitely blows Terry out of the water.
At least we got that going for us.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That being said, so obviously Jerry's kind of fumbling the bag. Cakes, what are your thoughts on Harrison? Like, he's kind of, we're seeing a refreshing perspective from our ownership group here, right? Like in the past, Dan Snyder would have been all over this. You know, Redskin 1 would have picked up the Terry McLaurin and signed him on the jet or whatever it is. But now Harrison kind of taking a step back, and everything he's done has been right so far. Are you happy with the way Harris is handling the Terry McLaurin negotiation?
Absolutely.
Okay, got you.
And look, Harris, first of all, he knows what he's doing. He's a professional. He's done this before. He's done this in, you know, other cities, other sports leagues. He's done it overseas with Crystal Palace. Like, he knows what he's doing when it comes to putting the right people in place to run a sports organization. And they seem to be just hitting on all of the, like, everything they do seems to be the correct move. Like, everything they're looking at everything that Dan Snyder would have done and doing the complete opposite.
Exactly.
And they're just hitting home run after home run. Like, you know, retiring Art Monk's number.
Yeah.
Putting Santana into the Ring of Fame. I'm just talking about some of the more recent things.
Yeah. And legacy jerseys. Yeah. Jerseys are
legacy
awesome.
jerseys, like trying to tie the present back to the past, you know, for the older Skins fans. Yeah, I mean, you have to be thrilled with what Josh Harris and the ownership group have done. And people, look, I understand that people have issues with Terry not being there, but that's why you went out and got Adam Peters, because there were no adults running the room, or the adults just didn't know what they were doing that were running like the draft room and the personnel rooms before Adam Peters got here. Are there going to be some growing pains, like with hold-ins and guys that the fan base love and want signed? They're just going to have to come to the realization that they've got a guy who's going to be fiscally responsible, who's going to try to run it the right way. And, you know, there might be some bumps along the way, but I think Harris and his group have been fantastic so far, and fans should be thrilled. I mean, just obviously thrilled that Harris and his group own the team, obviously now instead of Snyder. Thank Snyder, just go sail on your yacht over in Europe. Never come back here ever again. Just good riddance. I've said this many times. I've said this many times in the Junk Show. I would love for his yacht to run into like a coral reef. Now, I don't want anybody to drown or die, but I would love to see his $200 million yacht or whatever it is just go right to the bottom of the Mediterranean. Okay, with no casualties.
This group reminds me of the episode of Seinfeld where George says, everything I do is wrong. So starting today, no chicken salad. I'm going to switch to egg salad. I'm going to do everything the opposite of the way I've done it.
And it worked out for him.
Yeah. It's what I should do betting wise. I'm such a mush when it comes to sports betting. I should just, whenever I get locked in on something, just do that bit. Just do the opposite bit. And I might be a billionaire eventually.
One last one for me, Cakes. Outside of Terry and Jaden, is there anybody particular that's got you excited about this season on the team?
I can think of two guys. I mean, I want to see what Debo can do in a Cliff Kingsbury offense. I'm excited about that. I'm a jilted Debo guy because I had him in one of my high stakes fantasy leagues last year, and he just could never get right last year. He was, let's be honest, he was awful last year, and it wasn't all production wise. I mean, he got pneumonia. He never healed from that. He had a bunch of other nagging injuries. Couldn't get on the field, and when he was on the field, he wasn't very effective. And the other guy is a rookie that's been turning heads, the 7th round running back, Bill Krosky-Merritt. Like, I want to see what he does against New England. I want to see what he does in the preseason games because, look, we've been talking about Adam Peters and his fiscal responsibility, and as far as maintaining the roster and trying to get cheap labor on the roster. Like, if I'm Brian Robinson, I have my head on a swivel because I'm in the last year of my deal. They clearly don't love Brian Robinson. And if Krosky-Merritt can go in and be the 13 to 15 carry, like hammer type of running back, be a guy that grinds out 4.2, 4.4 yards per carry, nothing glamorous or sexy, but the guy that can be the lead back in the offense, and he's making 7th round rookie money. I'd be worried if I were Brian Robinson. Like if Krosky-Merritt shows, promise, if I'm B-Rob, then I'm looking out on the landscape as to, what team I might land on next. And also, if I'm Peters and Krosky-Merritt shows me something, I would not be averse. This might be a hot take. I wouldn't be averse to calling a team like Houston, who already has issues with Joe Mixon with his banged up ankle, and his backup is Nick Chubb. I'd be like, hey, you guys want to give us a 6th round pick for B-Rob? Like,
some guy take cakes. I'm totally with you on that one.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and look, I like Brian Robinson Jr. I felt horrible, obviously, for the way he started his NFL career here, getting shot in. Like, I mean, it's awful. But I'm just talking about strictly the football side of it. To me, there's nothing special about Brian Robinson Jr. And look, maybe he'll maybe make me eat my words with an improved offensive line. Maybe he turns into like a 1,300-yard season and scores 12 touchdowns.
That'd be great.
I just look like a clown talking about him getting dealt to the Texans before week 1. But I would bet against that sort of production. And look, if Adam Peters can start a rookie and or second-year player who's making $900K at running back, what are the chances he signs B-Rob to a deal where he's making like $4 million a year? I'll tell you what the chances are. 0. 0.0. So, I want to see what Krosky-Merritt does against the Pats because, like, Quinn's been raving about him. And he would have gone higher in the draft had he played more than one game last year.
Absolutely.
He has a lot of college experience. He was the East-West Shrine Game MVP. Like, the guy can play. And I think he's going to make some noise in that running back room.
Okay, because I got one more for you if you have some time for me. So basically, what are your thoughts? The other big news besides Terry McLaurin is the DC and RFK Stadium potentially be coming back. What are your thoughts on that? I know you had Mario Bowser in your interview stated, recently in your show. Do you think it's going to pass? It might have passed while we're talking right now, but do you think it's going to happen in RFK? Like, are you happy about that? Like, what are your overall thoughts?
I think it is going to happen eventually.
Okay.
I know that today is the first round of votes. I know there's more voting
like a couple
slated
September
for
or something. Yeah.
17th, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, we all know that RFK is the spiritual home of this franchise. And for it to go back, and let's be honest, have you guys been anywhere down near RFK anytime recently?
Long time ago. DC Armory a couple 10 years ago or something. Yeah.
Like, I drive by it every day on the way home from work. And I was on the stadium grounds like a month and a half ago. I took my daughter to Warped Tour out there. It's sad to see what that area has become. It's just it's fallen into complete disrepair. Like, I think it would look. I know that the DC residents, they don't want to pay $1 billion out of their pocket, and I can understand that. Look, I live in Maryland. It's not something that concerns me taxpayer wise. $1 billion is a lot of money, but you know what else is a lot of money? The $2.75 billion plus that the Harris Group is willing to invest in DC to make the stadium a possibility, to make affordable housing a possibility, to make a youth athletic complex something that the, future generations of kids can use and enjoy that's going to be on that campus. The retail, the hotels, the restaurants is going to bring business down. The bigger events are that stadium will draw into DC. I think it's just something that needs to be done. It's the perfect spot for it. I think it's going to happen. And I'm pumped for it. I can't wait to see what the new stadium renderings look like once we get to that point.
Absolutely.
And I think it's going to happen. I think it should happen.
And it's crazy. The Commanders are like negotiating against themselves at this point. I think they came out the other day and said, "Hey, we'll cover all the overages."
Yeah.
Like for those of you that have ever worked with
how
a house from scratch, like the overages
that
always
extra
happen.
that extra that they're willing to put on top. It just shows you that they're committed to being in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be back in the Maryland suburbs. They don't want to be 30 miles down 95 in freaking Dumfries, Virginia.
Jesus,
okay, that doesn't make any
Horrible.
sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Anywhere in Virginia doesn't make any sense because we already saw the fiasco with Ted and trying to
The
move
Wizards and all that. Yeah, exactly.
the Wizards. Like it's just Virginia to me is a non-starter. Like the right place for them to be is in DC on that RFK site. And I think it is going to happen.
I agree.
All right, Cakes, before we get out of here, one more time for those that tuned in late to the podcast, please tell us about the Cakes Classic on Wednesday.
Yeah, Cakes Classic is this upcoming Wednesday, August 6th at MGM National Harbor. It's a $320 buy-in, no limit hold'em tournament. I host it every month. Hopefully some of you have come out before. If you haven't, we'd love to have you out this upcoming Wednesday. Brian Mitchell is going to be the special guest bounty. There are some very cool prizes up for grabs too. If you knock me out of the tournament, you get a $600 seat into event number 2 of the Potomac Poker Open Tournament Series, which starts in mid-August. So that is pretty cool in and of itself. And you also get 2 tickets to a 2025 Commanders home game at Northwest Stadium, the opponent to be determined. If you knock out B-Mitch, you also get that tournament seat that I talked about if you knock me out, and he will sign a Commanders mini helmet for you right there on the spot. So it should be a fun night this upcoming Wednesday. Cards are in the air at 7:15 at MGM National Harbor. So if you want to play poker with B-Mitch, this is your opportunity. This is your chance. We'd love to see you out at MGM in just a few days. It's not that far away.
Yeah. Cakes, we always appreciate you having us on, man. And not that you needed our help, but we're glad that we could help you get the word out there for what should be an incredible event.
Yeah, appreciate you guys spreading the word. Thanks again for supporting me during my WSOP run. That was much appreciated. And next time you want me on, just let me know. Happy to talk Commanders with you guys at any point.
All right, brother. Be good. Thanks, man.
Thanks, brother.
All right, boys. Have a good weekend.
Yep.
See you.
Thanks again.